There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
Hi, people. Welcome into the Program Guys podcast. I'm Patrick Hertzberger. Joined with me today is Ryan Tyson, Mark Hall, and Matthew Gann. The Oklahoma Sooners, 4-4 Oklahoma Sooners, head to Maine this week, and we are here to break it down. But first, myself and Ryan didn't give our takes on the Ole Miss game, so we're going to go ahead and start there. Mark,
and
anything?
If you're not following the podcast,
Yeah,
you absolutely should subscribe, follow the podcast on all of our social media. You know how to find us. It's
patching this together without
with a Z on every single social media we have. It's great to talk over me when I'm giving the info out. Ryan, Ole Miss.
I'm going to do two things here because I actually got to go to Oxford. So I want to talk about like that experience, but then I also want to talk about the game itself. So I'll start with the game. I'm going to touch on like a lot of the same things you guys talked about in the post game, but like this was a tale of two halves. This was a team that actually looked like it had its identity back in the first half. And came out to a 14-10 lead at halftime. The vibes were good. Things were feeling good. The O-line played decently well. That was still probably the worst part of our offense in the first half was the O-line. Second half, that completely fell apart to something I have like never seen before. Just like some of the worst position performance all year was that O-line in the second half. It was, had the identity back in the first half and then completely did not make any adjustments going into the second half. And we got outcoached in the second half because we didn't make those adjustments. I understand that we are injured. Our O-line is very injured. And, Sexton going out is terrible for the O-line. Like he has been pretty how consistent can you be on this O-line? But the most consistent, probably one of the most consistent pieces of this O-line all season. And you saw it when he got hurt that everything kind of fell apart for that position group. And Ole Miss made adjustments and we didn't. And we suffered for it. Defense, atrocious cornerback play. We got to get better. Like we have to get better. And this was the first time that second half was the first time I've looked and I've said this defense is not playing very well. Usually we always say, okay, the defense is playing well. They're doing what they can. The offense is putting them in bad situations. Not saying the offense didn't put them in bad situations in the second half, but the cornerback play from Kenai Walker especially,
I was about to say, outside of corners, was there something in person that you thought was lacking on the defensive side? Because the corners, it was tough. I don't
think Billy played well. I don't think Billy has played well all year, really.
So
that might be a hot
take,
but
that. I disagree with that.
Okay.
I saw Billy getting a lot of hate, but I thought he was swarming every ball. I understand, helmet or face mask aside, I think that like instigated it a bit more. If he didn't have that face mask, which was really unlucky, I think people would be talking differently. And again, I think he was there every single tackle. Like most tackles, he was right there.
See, I think he missed a couple coverages on those deep balls that I think the cornerback, Kenai Walker in most cases, was expecting him to be around for. Not saying that's completely ultimately his fault, but we know how good he is. And he does kind of need to be everywhere. And I just didn't see that. And it's hard sometimes when you're in person to kind of understand all the plays and not get kind of like the full picture and the replays and all of that kind of stuff. But I would say every time they threw it deep in the second half, I was like, oh, they're going to catch that ball because we're beaten by like 5 yards every time. And they didn't even have their best wide receiver. So like that needs to be cleaned up. And I know we're going to talk about BV's press conference, and he said that, Kenai Walker's been beaten up a little bit, and all of our corners kind of have been beaten up a little bit. but I don't understand the drop off from the first half to the second half when it comes to the defense. I got concerned about that piece. And I thought the defensive line played really well. It was mostly kind of that secondary, because they were just picking us apart through the air in the second half. That's the feeling that I got when I was watching it. Patrick, before I let you jump in on the game, my experience for Oxford, the Grove is super cool. Like really, really cool. Much bigger than I thought it was going to be. It's very large, tents everywhere. I did laugh because it reminds me of like a farmer's market, but instead of like selling produce, there's like tailgating happening. But you like walk in and there's all these tents set up. They have this like whole operation where like I don't know if it's university sponsored, but like companies will set up tents for you. They'll drop in like the like chairs for you and the tables so you don't have to like bring any of that yourself. Like they do all of that. They even like help cater food and stuff like that. And then you just like clean up your stuff that you use to like decorate and you leave it there and then they take everything down. It's just a really like well-run operation that I was really impressed with, and I think we can learn a lot from their tailgating. That stadium is extremely old and sucks. Like it is, and it is a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. So I think it's only like 60 to 65,000 people. And it reminds me a lot of the Cotton Bowl with how like old it is. But their entry process is terrible. I missed the first half of the first quarter because they were scanning people in one at a time, and their scanner was like half working, half not. There was no security checks. It was just people literally like scanning your barcode on your phone, but they wouldn't let you in. Like I was with my wife and my wife like really needed to go to the restroom at the time and we were at the very front and she looked at him and she was like, "He has my ticket. Like, can I please go? Like I need to use the restroom." And he was like, "Not until I scan your ticket." And he like kept scanning other people's tickets and like it like half the time didn't work and they weren't letting people in. And it was just really like poorly managed. They don't have enough bathrooms. Those lines were like obscenely long. The concession stand lines were obscenely long. I missed the first half of the third quarter, which was probably ultimately a good thing that I didn't have to watch that. But like it was just kind of poorly managed, and I didn't think it was very good, especially when you compare it to the experience you get at Gaylord. So I would not recommend the Ole Miss Stadium, but I do recommend Oxford tailgating. And Mississippi is actually a really pretty, like tree-filled countryside, so I was pretty impressed with that. That's
Nice.
it.
Yeah. Maybe that's the reason why Ole Miss has 0 night games this week, or this year. Lane Kiffin was talking about that this week. I'll
That's
start on,
crazy.
yeah, no night games. It's just crazy. I'll start with the defense. Des Malone, he had a few really good games, but I think he's fallen off a little bit. I would really like to see more Deshaun McCullough and maybe more Woody Washington back out instead of Des Malone. Thought Eli played okay.
The San doesn't play corner.
Yeah, hold
Yeah,
on.
yeah. Woody Washington was playing Cheetah.
Oh, so you're
But
saying put
Deshaun
Deshaun in
and
and move Woody back.
moved Woody back
Got
out.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
BB said
Where,
Dez
Okay,
is
cool.
banged up.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
BB
you.
said
Good.
Dez is banged up as well
and
as
so is
Carney
Kanai
Vickers
Walker.
and
Oh no,
Vickers.
he said Vickers. He didn't say
Yeah,
Walker. Kanai
yeah,
Walker's just
Walker.
bad. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so defense overall thought they did what they could. Peyton Bowen felt like he had an off game as well. Like just wasn't really mentally there sometimes. Would love to see more blitzes from Danny Stutzman. Agree with your post game comment of putting in more Jaren Kanik. But blitzing from the linebackers, I feel like has kind of gone away in the last few weeks. So I was happy to see Danny at least get one in there.
Dude, we got
From
no pressure on their quarterback.
Yeah, no
None.
pressure.
Like at all. And then
Yeah.
especially in that second half, just picked us apart.
Yeah.
So agreed.
From an offensive perspective, I was really pleased with what I saw the first half. There's obviously a lot of limitations with wide receivers and offensive linemen, but thought Jackson did really good. Just responded well to all the adversity he's faced and was overall really happy with him. I think running the ball was great. The way Joe John Finley kind of stuck to it at times was what we needed. The third and longs were there were none. There were a lot of third and shorts, third and mids, more than what we've seen the last season. So I think you could definitely see he came up with a better game plan going in than Seth Luttrell was giving us. But yeah, due to the limitations, there was just the offense is going to sputter, and we're not going to win another SEC game because of it. Those are my thoughts.
I jump in to say I actually thought Joe John called a really, really good game. I thought he actually did really, really well for the position he got put in. That
He did
offensive
good.
Come on. Also, come on. You guys saw how much number 10 got the ball, right? In situations that were absolutely crucial, he went to the tight end, and the tight end is not a guy that we can rely on. Like,
God, no.
Again,
in theory, these are good.
That's what I'm
calls,
saying.
Right?
That's what I'm saying. The limitation is all of a sudden we have to go to Bauer Sharp way too much. That's why we're not going to win another SEC game.
I guess we like literally
go to
don't.
Other guys.
I guess we literally don't have anybody else that they feel like can even do what Bauer Sharp is doing, which is nothing. So like it's we're at like rock bottom. We're like scraping the bottom.
I can't co-sign that.
We're scrape every time he like had a play and I was in the stadium, I would just start booing. Just be like, boo.
It's frustrating, man.
I was like, why are we throwing a lateral to number 10 who's gonna do something dumb where like, he like falls over or something? I don't know. Anyway, I agree with Pat though on like this offense. We've said this already. This offense is gonna be the problem child moving forward. It already has been. I don't necessarily know. Stay tuned for next week. I think we're going to beat Missouri. I watched that Missouri game this past week. That team is not very good. So I have hope that if we give a little bit of time, maybe get a wide receiver back, that, we might be there.
Yeah, we could beat Missouri. My last comment on the Ole Miss game is I don't understand, and we're going to transfer into the press conference now, Brent Venables' hour-long press conference today. I don't understand how a coach can give a press conference like that is so good, and you kind of get into his mind a little bit and what's happening on the field while he is being a head coach, and then you mess up timeouts on punt plays. I don't know how those two things correlate, because when I listen to Brent Venables, I'm like, you are the best head coach in the country. And then we go into game time, Brent Venables, and there's some things he just doesn't get right. And there are still growing pains as Brent Venables, the head coach, on the field. And it just confuses me. Thoughts on Brent Venables?
I tweeted this at one point, but we really do just need to have Bob on retainer with just one, like a line directly to Brent. Yep. And all he does is veto the dumb shit. Like, oh, you said you were going to call a timeout? No, you're not. No, you're not. Take the penalty. Like, don't go for this fourth. Go for this fourth. Like, it's the head
agree.
coach stuff,
really just like anyone not on the coaching staff that is kind of commonsensical and not paying attention to anything else besides let's not do something stupid from a time management standpoint.
He had guys like that on staff previously.
Yeah, right.
Was it the I don't remember if this was before the end of the first quarter or the end of like the second quarter with the 2-minute warning, but he like snapped the ball at like 2 seconds left before the quarter was over or before it was second down and like 5. And it was either before the end of the first or like right before the 2-minute warning. And he like ran a play right before it. And I have no idea why he ran the play.
And it was just though, because I remember this on TV.
I think maybe we got the first down. We got the first down, I think, after on the third down. Like after the next one. I thought
the third down was the play.
No, it was the second down.
We'll need commenters.
Let us know in the comments because maybe I was at the game. I wasn't watching on TV, so you guys probably had a much better view than me. But I was watching this archaic scoreboard that Ole Miss has where it's like not updated at all. And I was like, okay, there's like 2 seconds, there's like 5 seconds left on this. Like,
and they hurried up.
And I was like, and they hurried up to the line. I was like, what are you doing? I was like, just let it go. Like, give yourself some time.
And the announcers didn't like it either. But then I
No,
think it worked, and then it's like, all right, I guess it worked. We'll go to the
I don't
quarterback.
know. Even if it works, I just don't love that. Like I don't love those decisions because I think it's just putting additional stress and pressure on an offense that absolutely does not need it right now. Um, and I think that's probably part of the reason why, again, this is all speculative and my opinion only, but that's probably a part of the reason why I feel like Brent's a little all over the place when it comes to some of these coaching decisions. I think there is just a ton of stress on this man for obvious reasons. And he has to deal with has to have much more hands in the offense now than he did previously. Still trying to stay connected to the defense as much as he can, even though Zach Alley's kind of taken that from him. I think there's probably a lot of things going on the sideline while all of this is happening. But he still has to be better. Like he has to be better in those situations, and we have to hold him accountable for it.
Got to be a head coach.
Hmm.
Got to be a head coach and do the head coaching things right. Having a
As
great defense is special. It's good. It is very good. We're very pleased to have it, but we all know the leash is only like one more year
Yeah,
if the head coaching stuff doesn't get right. And I love Brent. I think that that's the thing for me is I want Brent to be the guy
yeah.
because of
I
the
think we
things
all
that
do.
Patrick says. You hear him and you get inside his head and it's like, man, that's what I want my head coach to sound like. I don't want him to be like a smug jackass. I don't want him to be Lane Kiffin joking around, tweeting all the time. Like I want my guy to be a football guy, and it seems like Brent Venables is that, but the head coaching stuff is tough. Pat, press conference. Where do you want to start? We've got several quotes in there.
Yeah, I think we should start with Brent Venables' comments on Jackson Arnold. Matt, what are your main comments there saying Brent Venables
Do
today
we want
saying he
to
doesn't
do we want
expect?
to
Yeah,
Read the
Yeah, so
quote.
so basically it was
yeah,
his best game was something
Hmm.
that he said. I didn't add that in there. He thought it was the best game of Jackson's season.
Agreed.
And then he, on the question that, whether or not Jackson might transfer, it's a long quote, but the screenshot I got was basically, quote, my assumption is that you're dang right he wants to be back. Why would he not? That's how I look at it. I don't have my head in the sand. I would be concerned if I was thinking in that way. I wonder if he wants to be back. Well, shit, you're the starting quarterback at Oklahoma. This is the dream. This is your dream. You turned down a lot of good people to come here, and now that you've faced some headwinds, now you're just going to quit. I don't see that in him, and I don't see that in guys in our locker room. Does it happen in college football and in life? You're damn right, but not with people that are built with the right stuff. Not at all. Jackson's got the right stuff. Matt, comments.
Long quote from a long presser today, over an hour that he spent on not only Jackson Arnold, but the entirety of the offense and everything else. I'm glad to hear he's got confidence. I don't think he ever lost confidence in Jackson Arnold, even when he got benched earlier in the year in a Tennessee game. He knew Jackson Arnold's career at Oklahoma was not done. He obviously got his second chance just last week, and now against Old Miss. And Jackson Arnold, we talked about, is the guy that has the arm talent, has the ability and athleticism to be a starting quarterback at OU. So I think this statement here just kind of hopefully lights a fire under Jackson Arnold to prove why we recruited him and why he was number two dual threat in his class and proved to be that guy that we all want him to be. And I think we saw a lot of glimpses of that. Again, his touchdown in the game to Jacob Johnson in the first or the second quarter, first quarter, whatever it was, just proves, and you saw that flash. So it's good to have our our head coach back that, because in the world of NIL, if people throw money his way, he could end up leaving. So got to have that quarterback. We've seen why you have to have a starting quarterback be able to play in this league, especially in the SEC.
Yeah, I think I agree with Gan on all of that. There is a small part of me that is a little worried about like it's everything I want to hear, right? I think that can be one thing, and I'm like very excited. Everything Patrick was saying, like half the time this man wants me to like I want to run through a brick wall for him, right? When he talks like this. And then the other part of me is thinking about like take the situation where with uh um like at Clemson with their refusal to use like the transfer portal. And I think of this as like, and I have no connection here. This is again like just like a thought process I'm going through. But is it sort of like a denial situation where he's thinking, uh, like everyone wants to be here? And I think he had another quote that like everyone wants to be here, and if they don't, I will help them pack their bags or something along those lines, which is a pretty like intense statement to say. And I think there's a part of me that is like, hell yeah, I agree, pack their bags for him. But then I think there's another part of me that's like, the college football landscape is completely changing, and this thought process might not be as effective as it once was. And we've seen troubles with recruiting. NIL is such a big deal about people dropping and transferring out. And I think you can assume one thing and you can say, well, we don't want them here if they're going to go. But then you might be putting yourself in a really precarious situation where you're not actually preparing for something that is definitely on the table, even though you think it's not on the table. And I just think to that Clemson non using the transfer portal, like that situation just comes to my mind because BV basically grew up, behind Debo at Clemson. That's like like in his blood essentially on how he saw coaching. And I know there's been differences between him and Clemson in the past, but or like coaching styles between him and Debo in the past, but like I don't know. That is my like very negative take on the comment. I think like my instant reaction was, yeah, I love this. It's great to hear, but it's still one of those things that I think is just kind of out there and it's just words and we need to kind of see something or action around it. Like we're going to find out a lot about this team in the offseason.
It would be better if we were Clemson. Clemson is 6-1.
Yeah.
So even with all of Clemson's bullshit, they're 6-1. We're bringing in transfers and 4-4. So, I
Yeah.
did think it was sort of a weird call out, and I don't know that it's going to have the effect he wants. Maybe it will. To Matt's point, maybe it will. But you're counting on Jackson being a certain kind of guy that will take this the right kind of way, and we just don't know. I don't know, at least.
Yeah. On the packing your bags comment, I think he's always been able to find the right balance when it comes probably to the one-on-one and recruiting and keeping the right players. So I don't really have doubts there or feel like that will cause negative repercussions. On the Jackson, or I mean, we're going to see churn, but I hope it's going to be good churn. Jackson Arnold,
Be a lot of
I mean, I like the quote overall, and I think remember Jackson was the guy still recruiting a top 10 class for us when we were losing big games. He would come to Norman, go on the radio shows, and reassure everyone he's staying. That is him, and I think that's just his mentality, whether he's starting or not. I think in his head, he knew he was going to get the job back eventually, and he was ready for it. Matt, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, he talked about he didn't want to take worthless snaps, and obviously we've still in a position where the offense is sputtering. Looked a lot better. I think Joe John Finley can hopefully continue to build a better offensive game plan. This weekend against Maine is just a get right game, and even BV said in his presser, winning cures all. I mean, it sucks to lose three straight, especially the way that we've done it. Right? It hasn't been close games; they've been pretty much blowouts where OU has not looked good. So we need to go on a streak. And he even said it that they want to go on a streak to end the year. Yeah. Well, you do that by doing the simple things right against Maine. And then there's an opportunity if Brady Cook, the starting quarterback from Missouri, doesn't play. You saw what happened when they played Alabama. They got pounced 34-0. So OU could have an opportunity. Even if Brady Cook does come back, he might not be 100%. So this could be an opportunity for OU to get back into the win column and maybe win two straight heading into the last two games of the year. And again, I don't want to bypass Maine, but I think we all know the Black Bears aren't a huge threat to OU this week. But they need to be able to set things right and win by 50 points.
I don't think we can ever say they're not a huge threat to OU with how this team is played.
Well, they technically are tied with us. They are 4-4 as well, the Black Bears, but they do play in a totally different conference that is not even close to the amount of talent. But um, bad injury news as well to Jacob Sexton, who obviously might be out for a little while. BB talked about that. They're obviously now they're going to bring up true freshman Isaiah Autry, which surprises me out of all the guys that they were going to bring up, that Autry was the name that they're trying to burn their red shirt and come play. But still no Jake Taylor.
He won't have to burn
nope,
the red
nope.
shirt, will he?
He hasn't played. He hasn't played, I don't think. So
Yeah,
he'll be able to
it was
play
4
all 4 games. Plus, if you make a bowl, the bowl game does not count towards your red shirt. So everyone who hasn't played snaps yet is now safe to just get their asses on the field.
Okay. But still interesting, out of all the freshman offensive linemen, Nova EPL or Eugene Brooks, it's Isaiah Autry going to step up to the plate in the absence of Sexton, who has been the best offensive lineman, and Jake Taylor still unknown when he might return. So the offensive line continues to be banged up, and I'm not sure Autry really fits the bill, but he's going to get an opportunity to go out there and prove what he can do. So we'll have to see how this offensive line looks against Maine and moving forward.
Well, I was thinking
Autry plays tackle. Sorry, just real
No,
fast. Autry
you're
plays
good.
tackle, and EPL and Eugene Brooks play guard. But I would think, man, it's not like your guard play has been inspiring, and you still have Michael Tarquin available. If you're gonna bring up Isaiah Autry, why are those other guys not getting snaps too? I really don't get it. It's
Really confusing to me.
really confusing to me. I don't understand it at this point. Like, we're at the level now. Show me the freshman.
Yeah.
It's been that bad for several weeks. I gotta see what is supposedly worse than this.
Yeah,
And
because
if it doesn't work, you got to go back to these other guys. Yeah. That's fine. That's fine. They're freshmen. The expectation should be that this will not work.
I hate that we're having
Go ahead. If there's even a small chance that it's better, you got to do it.
I agree, 100%. I hate that we're having the redshirt conversation to begin with. That shouldn't be the mentality of this team. Play your best players. It's only going to help them in the future, especially if they are those huge top tier recruits. If you're going to play them in one game and burn, then no. But we've got 4 games left. You should have been playing them the rest of the season. Let's go ahead and put them in. I don't know if Eugene Brooks has gotten snaps or EPL got snaps at the beginning of the year. So maybe they're holding out if that's the case. But yeah, again, the red shirt mindset should not be part of this decision making. If it is,
I mean, the offensive line can't get any worse than it is last week. The last 2 weeks.
Stop saying
that.
I do
because you said that about the 9 sack
and
game,
then it got worse.
And then it was literally a 10 sack game.
I do want to mention that piece back to the Jackson Arnold thing. He's he's so committed to OU, and I hope that's true. God, I hope that's true. But Jesus Christ, that man has been sacked for 19 times in the past 2 games. Would you want to stay at a place that you were getting sacked like that? No.
I think technically 2 of them came against Hawkins, at least. But.
Okay, 17.
That's true.
The huge difference.
Well, yeah, OU's going to break.
Hawkins I feel good.
Yeah, OU's going to break the record number of sacks given up. I think they're at 38, almost 40. Tough. I think the record is 50. So, RT, if you're
tough prediction.
If your prediction was the other way, that we would get sacks versus sacks that we would actually get, you'd be on pace. But
I think aren't we 3 away from the OU record?
Yeah, it's
I think it's now 2 because they added 1 to the number, to the official count.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Brent Venables discussed a little bit about that today, said Bill Bedenbaugh is the best in the league, but they have had trouble keeping players here at Oklahoma, graduating early, things like that, as well, I'm sure, as he was referring to Missouri kid, Caden Green. But he did give praise in that statement to Bill Bedenbaugh that he is still the best in the biz, which he is, although the production is truly unacceptable at this point in this season. Anything else?
It's not going to pre-fire Bill.
No, absolutely not. Anything else on Brent Venables' press conference before we move into the main game?
Yeah. Groovy.
All right. Home game again, away game.
Nope.
Home game.
Home game
You're
against
great.
Maine.
Black Bears.
Really? For some reason, I thought we were traveling. That's amazing. Home game.
Traveling to Maine.
Who's going to the game?
Man, I have tickets, and I don't want to drive. So we'll see.
Matt?
People are gonna hate me for that, but
They are. They're gonna call you out.
Yeah,
yeah.
they're gonna call you out, Mark.
Definitely.
I drove
All right.
eight. I drove 8 hours to Oxford, and guys, 8 hours is too long.
Oh,
Too
that's
long
not
of a
bad at
drive.
all.
Too long. I don't like driving. I'm
Patrick,
flying.
I don't even.
It's not that bad.
It's
Anyway,
too long if you're there for only like 24 hours, you know?
yeah,
It's like a
it's
quick
a long time.
turnaround.
Love the commitment though. Matt,
Yeah.
what do you want to see out of the Oklahoma Sooners this weekend against Maine?
Like I said, this is the get right game. Okay, OU's favored by 34.5 points.
We will
We
not cover
should
that.
win by 45 plus points in this game. We should. We should. This is an opponent that should be no threat to OU. We shouldn't even give up a single point, especially with the defense going out there. So I want to see the run game get established. I want to see Taylor Tatum have a huge game. And I just want to see a rhythm of the offense where we continue to move the ball and really play on the fact of how well we did in the first half. So I would just think KISS is my biggest thing. Keep it simple, stupid. Doesn't have to do anything exotic, no trick plays. Let's just go out there, be up by 30 points at halftime. Let's get some of the freshmen and other people in the game and go from there.
I have a very simple answer to your question, Patrick, and that's that I want to win. I'm really tired of losing.
Yeah, that is very simple. You know what I would like to see is a shutout from this defense because I think we can shut out Maine. I think we could win this one 6-zip.
6.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. that would mean we score 2 field goals. But anyway,
Do we think we get under 6 sacks?
Or 3
us?
safeties.
Against us?
that's a good posed question. How many times will we get sacked in the pocket? Let's just say in the pocket, right? Let's keep it a bit fair.
It has to be 0. Guys, we're playing Maine.
Have you seen our offensive
It has
line?
to be 0. I have. I've seen them up close. I've seen them on TV. I know what it is. All of these guys should still be able to handle Maine very easily. I can't even get a line on this from my bookies. Like I checked just now. It doesn't exist because we're playing Maine.
I think we
should
get 2 sacks.
it should be a shutout.
Patrick.
It should be a shutout. There should be no sacks. Javonte Barnes should break 100 yards. Taylor Tatum should break 100 yards.
That's a lot of shoulds, but what will
that's what I'm doing.
happening?
That's all I'm doing here.
Speaking of the running back room, would you guys like to see a little bit more Caleb Hicks this game?
Yeah.
Sure.
But I've said that for 2 years now.
Barnes looks great though.
DeMarco Murray doesn't seem to agree.
I think this could be the game in the second half. Javonte Barnes. I hope Taylor Tatum does actually play throughout the whole game. I think he needs more game experience. The fumbles has to stop, and he's still a freshman. So I wouldn't mind if he gets the majority of the carries this weekend. Maybe Javonte gets the first 5-6 drives and then just hand it over. Yeah.
I like that a lot. Matt, who do you want to see on offense kind of get a roll? Can't say Bauer Sharp.
Yeah, really anyone besides Bauer Sharp. I want to see at least 200-yard rushers. And I want to see at least 2 receivers over 100 yards in this game. If that doesn't happen, I think we fail as an offense because we should easily score 40-plus points. And again, Mark, to your point, shut out Maine. We shouldn't give up more than 100 yards.
Do you think we're going to get over 400 yards?
Yes.
450 yards.
Based on what I saw against Ole Miss. So Ole Miss
was.
had the number 1 rushing defense in the SEC. We got over 150 yards. If we can do that against Ole Miss, we can definitely do that against Maine. So we're going to get the run game going early. JoJo Finley is going to keep it very simple. Should score 40-plus easily and have 200. We should have probably 300 yards rushing easily. They might just ground and pound. I think that's probably the best way to go in this game. Get the offensive line going and give them some confidence.
What you said about having 2 possible 100-yard receivers, that's where I draw a line. I draw a line in the sand, Matt. I can't get there with you.
If Deion Burks comes
those
back,
guys,
that's easy. Deion Burks, easy. That's one
Who's
of them.
the second one?
Well, if Pettaway or someone can get healthy, even one of the freshman guys, I think
Pettaway doesn't get snaps.
Hey, I
There's no one else.
Be a freshman or JJ Hester.
There's
or,
no one
or Brennan
else.
Thompson.
It's going to be Bauer Sharp.
It would be Brennan or JJ. I can see JJ easily breaking off down the field for an 80-yard touchdown on one catch because Jackson Arnold can throw it deep.
We haven't seen something like that
Since the Auburn game. Correct.
Since the Auburn game. 73
Wait, no,
yard
we
pass to
saw
JJ Hess.
technically
No,
we
against-
saw it against South Carolina.
Yeah, South
Technically.
Carolina. Yeah,
Not
Brennan
bad,
Thompson.
but yeah, sure.
Keep it simple. That's what we need to do.
Brennan Thompson involvement was shocking to me against Ole Miss. I really thought he'd be able to step up given the amount of wide receivers we have right now, and it just wasn't. I mean, I think he caught one ball, but surely we can draw stuff up for his speed that we're not currently drawing up.
It's an all year thing with him. I think part of it too is the fact that Jackson can get the ball to him in advantageous ways down the field, and I'm not sure that Michael always could.
Yep.
And so there were several games there where we're not seeing the use of Brennan Thompson the way he should be. But at the same time, it's also play calling and play design because we're seeing so many Brennan Thompson crossers or stop routes. And it's like, that's not why he's even on the roster. That's not why he's on the team. He's on the team because he's fast. Run him down the field.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Maine, the most they gave up from a passing yard perspective was 390 against Mammoth. Don't quote me on that. They could have given up more a different game, but it looks like they're giving up around 300 passing yards per game. I don't see us really doing more than that, especially if their run game is working. Like I'd be surprised if we walk out of this over 500 yards, 600 yards,
500.
No, I would be surprised if we had
good.
that kind of offensive output. Like we
Me
should
too.
win
Yeah.
and we should win handily. It should be clean, but like to expect the offense to just figure everything out, there's still 11 dudes that want to tackle you on the other side.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we're talking about Maine. You just said it yourself, Mark.
I
It's
did,
Maine.
and I also think like 40 points is just not something
You
we
think
should
that's
expect.
absurd? The spread is
Offensive execution has been our problem.
I swear to God, if we run Jackson Arnold, I would be so mad. I'll be so mad.
He carried the ball 24 times last week. What
I
are you
know.
talking about?
We're
That's the
absolutely
game
going to
plan.
run him.
Yeah, I know that's the game plan, but I don't want him to get hurt either.
Well, he's getting sacked 17 times. If we didn't
Yeah,
want him to
he's
get hurt,
getting-
we would
I'm
have
just
a little
saying,
bit of protection.
I really don't like the designed run plays. I just don't like it for him.
it's really
I
the
don't
only
mind.
thing that
I don't.
works
I don't
those
mind it, but
RPOs.
it's really the only thing that's the semi working, at least in that first half against Ole Miss. So I mean, Javonte was good too, but anyway, I think overall, what are we feeling on scores?
Yeah, I think we should do score predictions. Mark, let's start with you.
24-0. We shut him out.
You're smoking. You're
We
smoking.
score. What am I smoking? What do you
Nothing,
think is-
apparently.
You know
Get your
what?
head straight.
Nothing apparently. Matt, okay,
Yes.
you're up then. All right.
Yeah, I'm going to
If
go.
I'm smoking, what's the right answer?
I've been smoking that good stuff. Patrick can tell you. If we don't win this game, 45-0, at least minimum,
You're gonna
that
need
would be a
dog shit?
disappointment.
Oh.
45
What are you gonna do? Can we tweet this out? Like, what you're
No, I'm not
do?
going to do the Florida State thing where I promise I'm going to eat like a pile
What about
of
the
crap.
what about the Kansas State thing?
I don't know what that one is. I
Liv
just know
Moss.
Liv Moss, the burrito.
Oh, don't even get me close. 45-0, 500 plus yards of offense, 200 yards rushers, 200 yards receiving, or two wide receivers, 200 or 100 yards each. 45-0. Shut out.
I love this from Matt because he normally is like kind of a chief hater, and this is
passive.
good. This is
He's-
I don't know what this.
You
where
just
this
wait
came
until we
from.
play Missouri next week. I got some bold predictions. 45-0. Patrick, let's hear it.
34-3. It's possible we overturn the ball or like just give them really good field position because that's what we do sometimes. Or garbage time. So I'll give them 3 points. 34-3 for the Oklahoma Sooners.
31-7. A lot of the same reasons that Pat said.
30 points? Man, okay. I feel you.
Dude,
All right.
I just have no faith in this offense.
It's bad we're saying this because they've had teams consistently score over like 35 points. Like they've been scored on in the 40s and the 50s. So
Yeah, we have the worst offensive line in the FBS. So
All right. I think it's time for LVPs and MVPs. Who wants to go first? How about Tyson? You go ahead, my friend.
Oh God. I wasn't ready.
Okay, well, I will go ahead and go first because I have mine lined up. I'm going to go LVP. I'm going to play a little trivia with you guys.
Oh no.
I want you to name this NFL team.
Jets.
They scored 20 plus points. They
Jets.
didn't turn the ball over, and they actually allowed less than 250 yards
It's the
to the
Jets.
opposing offense. They are the first team in NFL history with this score
It's the
box
Jets.
that went 700. It's currently 750
and
to
one.
1.
It's
That
the
is the
Jets.
New York Jets against the New England Patriots.
It's tough.
The only loss with that box score in NFL history out of 751 games. LVP, the Jets, who are
That's your boy.
2-6. Yeah, I like what he does off the field, but on the field, woo-wee.
Jesus.
Back in, it was
LVP, New York Jets.
That's funny. I've got Jameis Winston because I love his
Lose yourself.
attitude, and no, I love his attitude, and he deserves that. He's great.
He's
So
great.
funny.
He's great.
Jameis Winston lost me some money this weekend. I'm upset about Jameis. But I love him. It's hard. It's hard with him.
Is it a bit?
No, he's just that guy.
It's kind of like
Have you
Dan,
seen?
You just don't know.
It, except I think you know with Jameis. Have you guys seen the thing, the TikTok or whatever, where he's like ranking the fast food places?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
He's
unreal.
he's amazing. It is
Great
actually
content.
worth your time, Ryan, because
Okay.
he is so funny. Chipotle.
Oh,
He just
I gotta
he's
see it.
good. My MVP, the Atlanta Falcons. They took down the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the second time this season. They are on track to win the NFC South, despite the defense being a turnstile. Matthew Judon got his last sack in week 2. We traded a 3rd-round pick for him. That's not good. But the team is rallying around Kirk O'Chains, Kirk Cousins. It's goofy, and it's working. So my MVP, the Atlanta Falcons.
I'll stick to NFL LVP. We have a small fraud alert for the Minnesota Vikings, who have lost the last 2 games, and are in. I'm okay with the loss to the Lions. That one doesn't bug me because I think the Lions are an incredibly talented and very, very good team. This loss to the Rams, with how many mistakes that we made in that game, it just looked like a sloppy team that was not well disciplined. And with how good the NFC North is, you have the Lions, you have the Green Bay Packers, Gans Packers, who have looked very good the past several weeks, and the Bears, who should have beat the Washington Redskins this past weekend, except for a Hail Mary. If Chicago would have won that, Vikings would be in last place in the NFC North with 5-2. Like it's a brutal conference or brutal division. You got to be better than 2 losses in a row to NFC opponents. You have to be better. Sorry.
Ryan, little breaking news alert. Maybe you've seen it already.
I haven't.
The Vikings are trading a conditional 5th that can become a 4th for a conditional 7th and left tackle Cam Robinson from the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, Darrisaw got hurt.
Christian Darrisaw. Right.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Feels like small price to pay for a potential Band-Aid at that position to me, but what do you think?
It's a Band-Aid, and I don't hate it because I saw what happened when Darrisaw went out against the Rams, and not good things by his backup, who I can't even think of the name right now. Apologies to that man. But it was not good. And he won't hear this. But so I think patching it in any kind of way, you're not gonna. I mean, Darrisaw was going on like a Pro Bowl level like performance this year. He was just fantastic. You're not gonna replace that. There's no way. So getting something I think is better than anything. But yeah, we have a fraud alert, and I am now even more concerned for this Sunday night, which the Vikings game got flexed into prime time against the Colts, who I was like, Richardson's in. He's terrible. Like, sign me up. And now they got Joe Flacco starting, and I'm like, damn it. So because that just has
It's amazing.
like
That does suck.
that just has like Flacco game like all over it to me, and just like a comeback for him, and I just have bad vibes. So can't lose 3 in a row. Maybe I'll be back next week saying MVP Vikings for not losing 3 in a row.
New MVP, Joe Flacco will just never die.
Yeah, dude will be around forever. And that's wrap, folks. Remember to like and subscribe to the Program Guys podcast. You can follow us or like and subscribe really anywhere: YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X. That's about it. Go and do so. Who's on? Ryan, take us out.
Keep pushing it, baby.
3, 2, 1.
There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.